The galaxy once knew humanity as the noisiest, boldest, and most unpredictable species among the stars. Their laughter echoed through space stations, their music filled alien channels, and their fearless explorers reached places no one dared to go. Every corner of the known universe had felt the touch of a human hand, sometimes with kindness, sometimes with fire, but always with passion. Then, one day, they were gone. It began quietly. At first, only a few ships stopped responding. A mining colony near Tau Ceti went silent, then a research station orbiting Neptune lost contact. The Galactic Council thought it was a communication error, a glitch, nothing more. But as hours turned into days and days into weeks, a chilling pattern appeared. Every human world was silent. Earth, the cradle of humanity, once glowing with blue oceans and the hum of endless cities, now floated in space without a single voice. The great cities stood untouched, their lights still shining, their machines still working, but no one remained to use them. Not a single human heartbeat could be found. Ships drifted in orbit, still powered, still perfect, as if waiting for their captains to return. Food sat on tables. Cups of coffee remained half-finished. It was as if every human simply stood up one moment and walked away into nothingness. The first alien explorers who entered human territory came back shaken. The silence was not peaceful. It was heavy, almost alive. It pressed on the mind, whispering questions no one could answer. Where had they gone? How could billions vanish without a single trace? The Galactic Council met in emergency session. Dozens of alien races gathered in the Grand Chamber, their voices rising in fear and confusion. The reptilian Varth general slammed his clawed fist on the table and hissed, "They must have destroyed themselves." They were always reckless, always playing with forces they couldn't control. A tall, silver-skinned being from the Thalrun Confederacy shook her head slowly. No explosion was detected, no radiation, no ships leaving the system. It happened everywhere at once. This was not war. This was disappearance. The room fell silent. The words at once echoed like thunder. Some believed it was a new human experiment gone wrong, perhaps a failed attempt to merge consciousness with machines. Others whispered of gods or higher dimensions. A few even said that the humans had discovered something so vast and powerful that they had chosen to leave this galaxy behind. But no one knew the truth. Even the most advanced scanners found nothing unusual, and only perfect emptiness where life should be. Every planet still spun in place. Every ship remained in orbit. It was as though the entire species had been carefully erased, leaving behind everything except themselves. And what frightened the galaxy most was the fact that humanity had left no warning, no farewell message, no final broadcast. They had simply vanished without a word. Weeks passed. Then months. Search fleets entered the Sol system, scanning for signs of life. They found none. Yet strange things began to happen around human worlds. The atmosphere of Earth hummed faintly at night, like a low song carried by the wind. Lights flickered in abandoned cities even when power grids were offline. And sometimes, when the wind passed through empty human streets, it carried faint echoes, laughter, whispers, and the soft sound of music. One alien scout, trembling with fear, reported seeing human shadows moving through the glass towers of New London. But when he approached, the shapes vanished. Only dust and silence remained. The council dismissed the report as imagination. But deep down, fear had already taken root. For thousands of years, humanity had been a wild storm, unpredictable, passionate, and resilient. They fought endless wars but always rebuilt. They suffered yet always found hope. They were the only species that smiled while facing extinction. And now that they were gone, the galaxy realized something terrifying. It felt smaller without them. Trade slowed. Stars seemed dimmer. Even the grand stations once filled with human laughter now felt empty and cold. The other races had mocked humanity's noise, their chaos, their endless need to feel and dream. But now, in the silence they left behind, everyone finally understood what that noise had meant. It had meant life. And as the quiet stretched on, the Galactic Council began to tremble, not because humanity had disappeared, but because of a single haunting question that refused to die. What if they hadn't vanished? What if they had simply moved beyond? The grand chamber of the Galactic Council had never been so crowded. Dozens of species filled the circular hall, voices overlapping in panic. The air shimmered with the colors of many worlds, golden light from the Averine, blue mist from the Thalrun, and the faint metallic scent of the Varth. But beneath all that noise lay a deep unease. Humanity's disappearance had broken something inside every being present. At the center stood High Chancellor Vorkal, his scaled face tense. His voice echoed through the room, sharp and impatient. "We must find out what happened. The humans cannot simply vanish." 1,000 eyes turned toward the holographic projection in the middle of the chamber, a spinning image of Earth, silent and lifeless. The ocean still glittered, the clouds still moved, but no ships left the surface, no signals came from orbit. Every time they looked at it, it felt less like a planet and more like a grave. An elder of the Thalrun Confederacy, her skin silver as moonlight, stepped forward slowly. "Our probes entered human space," she said softly. There were no explosions, no signs of battle, not even biological traces of disease. It was as if every human simply stopped being. Her words rippled through the crowd like a cold wave. A deep-voiced Averine diplomat clicked his talons nervously. "Stopped being? You make it sound like magic. We are scientists. There must be logic, an experiment, a weapon, something." But logic had already failed them. Humanity's absence broke every law they understood. There were no energy surges, no missing ships crossing borders. One moment the humans were there, alive and loud. The next, the galaxy fell into a silence that felt almost deliberate. The Varth general slammed his clawed fist again. They were reckless. They tampered with the unknown. They built machines to touch stars, to play with gravity, to create life from metal. Perhaps they triggered their own destruction. A murmur rose in agreement, but the Thalrun elder only shook her head. "Destruction leaves ruins. But what we see is order. Everything remains untouched. That is not the work of chaos. It is the work of purpose." Her words lingered, and for the first time that day the council grew quiet. The Chancellor's gaze swept across the hall. "Purpose? You think they chose to leave?" "Perhaps," she whispered. "Or perhaps something called to them." The thought spread like fire. If humanity had chosen to go, it meant they had discovered something beyond the stars, something greater than the galaxy itself. But if something had taken them, it meant that same power could come for the rest. Either way, fear crept into every heart. To calm the panic, the Council sent investigative fleets to human space. Hundreds of ships entered the Sol system. The reports that returned only deepened the mystery. Every planet was still perfect. Machines continued to work as if nothing had changed. Robots maintained gardens. Artificial intelligence systems followed their routines. But they all spoke the same words when asked about humans. They are gone, but not dead. Those 5 words appeared again and again in the data logs, sent from satellites, city servers, and even abandoned androids. The Council's best linguist studied them for weeks, but the meaning remained the same. Gone, but not dead. On Earth, alien teams explored the cities. They found children's toys lying beside half-written books. They found letters never sent, computers still running with music playing softly. Everything felt frozen in time, as though the universe had paused mid-heartbeat. One Varth soldier confessed later, trembling, "I walked through their capital. I swear I heard footsteps behind me. I turned and there was no one. But I felt watched, not with hatred but with sorrow." When the report reached the Council, no one laughed. Too many soldiers had told the same story. The silence around human worlds was not empty. It was heavy, like someone listening from far away. Weeks turned into months. Arguments turned into fear. Some wanted to destroy human technology, fearing it might be cursed. Others wanted to protect it, hoping humanity would return. The Council split, their unity breaking apart under the weight of the unknown. One night, the Thalran elder stood alone before the hologram of Earth. Her voice trembled as she spoke to no one. "You always chase the stars, humans. You burned yourselves for dreams. Did you finally find the one dream worth leaving us for?" Her words were recorded accidentally by the chamber's listening systems. When they played the audio the next day, many who heard it wept. It reminded them that the humans, for all their chaos, had given the galaxy something priceless: hope. Now that hope had turned into a wound that would not heal, the Council could not decide whether to fear humanity's return or to beg for it. Because deep down, they all understood one truth. If humans had chosen to leave, then they had found something the rest of the galaxy could not yet understand. And if they hadn't chosen, then something far greater than all of them now knew the way to their worlds. Months turned into years, yet the mystery of humanity's disappearance refused to fade. The Sol system remained quiet, a haunting monument to the species that once filled the stars with music, war, and laughter. Explorers from countless worlds came and went, searching for clues. They studied Earth's soil, its oceans, its machines, but they found only emptiness, an absence that felt too perfect. And then the echoes began. It started with a faint transmission, soft, distorted, and impossible to trace. A scout ship orbiting Mars picked it up first. It wasn't language, not exactly. It sounded like singing, a slow, gentle melody that tugged at the heart. The scientists on board listened in silence, unable to move. The tune was human. Old Earth music, something simple, something filled with love and sorrow. When the Council received the recording, they played it across the chamber. For a long time, no one spoke. Even the Varth general, who once called humans reckless beasts, lowered his head. The melody carried no anger, no warning, only longing. It was as if humanity was still speaking through the stars, whispering, "We remember you." Soon after, more strange events followed. On the surface of Earth, the machines that humans had built continued their daily tasks. Robots still repaired streets. Drones watered gardens. Satellites adjusted orbits with perfect timing, but no command signals were being sent. They acted as if still following orders from masters who no longer existed. An alien engineer named Sira from the Thalrun Confederacy was one of the few brave enough to study the machines closely. She walked through the silent cities of Earth, her footsteps echoing across empty glass towers. She found holographic projectors still playing family memories, children's laughter trapped in endless loops. One recording caught her heart. It showed a human mother holding her child, whispering, "We'll always come back, no matter how far we go." That night, when Sira looked up at the stars, she cried. But the most mysterious discovery came from the red deserts of Mars. A deep space team found enormous letters carved into the planet's soil, so large they could only be read from orbit. It wasn't random. It was a message, simple and haunting. "We will return when the stars are ready." The Council couldn't understand. What did it mean? Were the humans waiting for something? Or warning everyone else to prepare? Some claimed it was a hoax, but the energy readings from the letters were ancient and pure, older than the message itself, as if they had been burned into the dust by something beyond technology. From that day, strange things began happening around every world where humans once lived. Sensors picked up short flashes of energy, shaped like human silhouettes, appearing for seconds before vanishing. AI cores powered by human design began speaking without being prompted. They used words that no one had programmed into them. One AI on the moon colony simply said, "They're watching the stars now." Then it shut down forever. Rumors spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Some believed humanity had ascended into another plane of existence, a higher dimension. Others thought they had merged with light itself, becoming part of the universe. And some whispered darker things, that the humans had gone somewhere the rest of the galaxy was not yet allowed to go. Despite the fear, many began to feel a strange longing, Without humans, the galaxy felt hollow. Their creativity, their endless curiosity, their madness, it was missing. Trade slowed, wars quieted, and laughter grew rare. The universe felt too quiet, too perfect, as if holding its breath. A historian from the gentle Emerald species once said in a broadcast, "The humans were like a flame, dangerous, unpredictable, but beautiful. Without them, we are only shadows in the dark." His words were replayed across thousands of stations. Even species that had once hated humanity listened in silence. Then one night, a cargo ship passing near Jupiter recorded something that froze every heart in the council. It was an image of a human figure, glowing faintly in the void, drifting beside one of Jupiter's moons. The sensors confirmed it wasn't a trick. There was no suit, no body, just light shaped like a human looking toward Earth. Before the image faded, the ship's communication system received a brief transmission. It was one word, spoken in a voice that every species recognized instantly: soon. The council tried to dismiss it as interference, but deep down, no one believed that. The voice carried warmth, strength, and something unexplainable: hope. From that moment, the galaxy stopped mocking the humans' disappearance. Worlds that once feared them began to whisper prayers. Some built monuments to honor their memory. Others left flowers on the empty planets they once called home, because the truth was clear now. Humanity was not gone. They were waiting, watching. And one day, when the stars themselves were ready, they would return. And when they did, the galaxy knew nothing would ever be the same again. As years passed, the disappearance of humanity became a shadow over the galaxy. It was no longer a mystery to solve, but a fear that settled into every mind. Even those who had once mocked humans now whispered their names with a mixture of awe and terror. Humanity had vanished without a word, and the universe was beginning to realize that this silence was not weakness. It was power. The Galactic Council, once a symbol of authority and knowledge, struggled to maintain order. Every decision was haunted by one question: what if humanity returned? Leaders argued endlessly. Some urged the construction of massive fleets, ready to confront the humans if they came back hostile. Others counseled patience, suggesting that no one could predict what humans had become during their absence. High Chancellor Vorkal paced the council chamber, his scales reflecting the dim light of the Grand Hall. "We cannot act blindly," he growled. "The humans disappeared without explanation. If they return, if they are hostile, we will be unprepared." A soft, silver-tinged voice broke through the tension. The Thalran elder Seria spoke slowly, almost sadly. "You do not understand, Vorkal. Humanity is not like us. They are never predictable, yet they are never cruel without reason. They do not strike out of fear. They leave when they need to, and they return when they choose. That is the nature of their power." The words unsettled the council. None of the alien species could grasp the depth of humanity's resilience. They had grown arrogant in their technology, their fleets, their rules. And yet humans had vanished from existence as easily as stepping through a door, and the galaxy had been powerless to stop them. Across the stars, whispers of human ascension spread. Rumors grew like firestorms, igniting fear and fascination in equal measure. Some claimed humans had become beings of pure energy, capable of crossing light years in seconds. Others said they had merged their minds with the galaxy itself, understanding secrets that no other species could even imagine. The Varth general's claws tapped the council table nervously. "Legends. They are legends and stories to frighten children," he insisted. But even he avoided looking at the holographic projection of Earth, its cities glowing faintly under automated lights, utterly empty. Fear became more than speculation when alien fleets reported strange anomalies. Ships entering human territory detected invisible energy fields, protective shields that could not be measured by any known science. Some ships disappeared for hours, only to return with minor systems damaged. as if the very space around them had resisted intrusion. In the quiet of his private quarters, Chancellor Vorkal stared at old records of human exploration. Every planet they had touched, every colony they had built, every ship they had piloted, it was all evidence of ambition, courage, and relentless will. And yet now none of it could explain their absence. It was as though humanity had achieved a mastery of the universe that other species could not yet comprehend. On the abandoned Earth, strange phenomena continued. Night skies flickered with human-designed satellites, following their programmed paths with eerie precision. Lights in empty buildings blinked on and off, seemingly communicating in patterns no one could decode. And sometimes, the wind carried faint human whispers, laughter, songs, or simple words like wait and soon. The council began to realize the most terrifying truth. Humanity's disappearance was not an accident. It had a purpose. It was a message hidden in silence, a warning that they were not yet ready to return, or perhaps it was a test. One the galaxy was failing without even knowing it. Even the fiercest militaries paused in unease. Plans for war against each other were delayed. Colonies fortified by humans remained untouched. Every species began to understand on a deep instinctive level that they were small in comparison. Humanity's absence was a lesson in humility, a reminder that the universe was larger, stranger, and more powerful than they had ever imagined. Seria's words haunted them. The humans do not conquer by fear. They do not dominate by force. They return when they decide. And when they do, the galaxy will know what true strength feels like. By now, the council's meetings had changed. They were no longer debates, they were consultations of fear. Every plan considered the humans, every strategy assumed their eventual return. The shadows of humanity stretched across every star, touching minds, hearts, and ambitions. And somewhere far beyond known space, humanity waited. Perhaps they were watching. Perhaps they were testing. Perhaps they had already learned the secrets that the galaxy could not yet dream of. The council trembled in silence, knowing one truth. The galaxy had grown arrogant in their absence, unprepared for the species that had vanished, and the one that would inevitably come back. A century had passed since humanity's disappearance, and yet the galaxy had not forgotten them. The Sol system remained a forbidden zone, a place where no fleet dared linger. Fear had become instinct, woven into the minds of every commander and explorer. The stories of human whispers, glowing figures, and mysterious signals were no longer rumors, they were warnings. It was near the edge of the Andromeda Gate, a massive wormhole once engineered by human hands, that the first real discovery occurred. The probe sent by the Council had been built with every precaution, designed to withstand unimaginable forces. It carried every type of sensor, every kind of detector, every machine the galaxy could invent, yet even it could not fully grasp what it found. The probe sent readings that made the Council shiver in disbelief. Human energy signatures, millions of them, flashed faintly across the instruments. It was not just a pulse or a signal. It was life itself, a heartbeat echoing across the void. The probe's cameras, unable to fully focus, caught glimpses of shapes that seemed alive and intelligent, glowing with a strange, radiant energy. The High Chancellor's voice trembled during the emergency council meeting. "This cannot be," he said. "They are alive." "But how?" A Thalran scientist, her eyes wide with awe, whispered. "It is not life as we know it. It is something beyond us. Humanity has become more." The council debated what to do. Fleets were ready, yet no one dared move them closer to the gate. Every species felt the same instinctive fear. These were not humans as they had known them. These were humans transformed, evolved, and untouchable by the rules of the known universe. Then the probe stopped transmitting. For hours the council held its collective breath, fearing the worst. And finally, a final transmission came through. A single image. The image froze every heart in the galaxy. Hundreds of ships, larger than any seen before, gleaming with strange energy, hovered beyond the gate. They were human, unmistakably. Every detail reflected design, technology, and power far beyond anything the Council had ever imagined. Their hulls shimmered like liquid light, their surfaces alive with patterns that shifted and changed, as though the ships themselves were sentient. No communication came from the ships. No signal. They simply floated there, waiting. The presence alone was a warning, a message of mastery and purpose. The Council had never felt anything like it. A young diplomat from the Averine whispered, voice shaking, They are not just coming back. They're already beyond us. We cannot fight this, not now, not ever. The Thalran elder, Saria, nodded silently. We were not meant to fight them. We were meant to witness, and learn, and perhaps, if we are lucky, survive their judgment. The Council sent emissaries to communicate, but all signals were ignored. The human fleet remained still, radiating a quiet, unstoppable power. Every attempt at scanning or decoding failed. The humans had become untouchable, beyond understanding, and it terrified every species in the galaxy. And then, almost imperceptibly, the humans began to move. Not fast, slow, deliberate, as though every ship carried the weight of centuries of waiting. The Council's fleets trembled, unsure whether to flee or prepare for battle that might never come. Even the scholars, who once prided themselves on knowledge, fell silent. There were no theories, no equations, no strategy that could explain what the humans had become. They had transcended ordinary life, ordinary power, ordinary fear. Yet there was something else in their movement, something gentle, patient, almost curious. It was not rage, it was not conquest, it was intention. The historian whispered almost to herself. They are not angry. They are waiting, watching, seeing if the galaxy has grown wise in their absence. And the Council, for the first time in history, realized the truth. They were not ready. The galaxy had grown arrogant, careless, divided. Humanity had vanished for a reason. And now, as the fleet beyond the Andromeda Gate began its silent advance, the universe trembled under the weight of what it had forgotten. Humans were not just another species. They were the standard of life itself. The fear that spread through every world, every fleet, every mind was simple, pure, and terrifying. If humanity had chosen to disappear once, what would they choose to do next? And the answer, the galaxy could not yet imagine. The first human ships emerged from the Andromeda Gate without warning. The galaxy had grown tense with anticipation for decades, yet nothing could have prepared them for the sight. Hundreds of colossal vessels glided silently through space, glowing with energy that seemed alive. Each hull shimmered as if made of starlight itself. Yet they held the unmistakable marks of humanity, designs, patterns, and symbols that had once been ordinary but now radiated power and mastery. High Chancellor Vorkel could barely stand. His claws gripped the council table as he stared at the massive hologram displaying the fleet. They are back, he whispered. No signals, no words, no demands. The humans did not announce themselves. They did not speak. They simply arrived as though the universe itself had been waiting for this moment, and now it had no choice but to witness. Across the council chambers, representatives from every species watched in stunned silence. Even the Varth general, who once scorned humans as reckless and weak, found himself unable to speak. The presence of the fleet was more than physical. It carried weight, intention, and an aura of inevitability. The first human ships passed over the Sol system, moving with precision that was almost reverent. Orbital stations flickered as their shields automatically recognized the returning vessels. No alarm sounded, yet every being in the galaxy felt it. The humans had returned and nothing would ever be the same. On Earth, automated systems paused for a moment. Lights flickered. Machines seemed to bow to the unseen captains now present above their world. Cities that had been silent for decades hummed softly as if greeting their masters. Even nature seemed to stir. The oceans glimmered, forests rustled, and winds carried a strange warmth. Humanity had returned, and the planet itself knew it. The Thalrun elder Saria stood alone before a projection of the fleet. Her voice trembled as she whispered, "They are not here to punish. They are here to remind." Every alien race across the galaxy felt it too. There was no aggression, no threat, yet the weight of humanity's return was overwhelming. Fear, awe, and reverence mingled in a way no species had ever felt. They were reminded that humans had been gone, not defeated, not conquered. Gone by choice, gone by will, and now they were back, stronger than anyone could comprehend. The humans did not land, did not invade, did not speak. They observed, slowly moving across the systems. Their presence felt more than seen. Wherever they passed, old wars paused, disputes ceased, and the universe held its breath. Every species realized in that silent moment that humans were no longer part of the hierarchy of the galaxy. They were above it. A scout ship, sent cautiously to intercept the human fleet, transmitted a single message before disappearing behind the glow of the largest human vessel. It was simple, yet every alien felt its weight. "We have returned. Are you ready to see yourselves as you truly are?" The council could not answer. Words failed them. No one had ever seen humans like this. No one had ever imagined what they could become. And yet the message carried hope alongside fear. The humans did not come to destroy. They came to show, to awaken, and to remind. On a distant colony world, a child looked up at the sky and whispered, "They're back." And somewhere far away, an old historian from the Averine species wept quietly, realizing the truth. Humans had returned not as conquerors, but as teachers, as witnesses to what life could truly become. High Chancellor Vorkal finally spoke, voice low, trembling with emotion. "We are unworthy," he said. And in that one statement, the sentiment of the galaxy was captured. Humanity's absence had left it unprepared, unready, and humbled. Their return was not vengeance, it was revelation. The fleet continued its silent passage through the stars. The council watched, terrified and mesmerized, understanding something that had eluded them for centuries. The humans were not just strong, not just clever, not just survivors. They were the standard against which all other life would now be measured, and yet even in their awe, fear remained. For every being who looked at the fleet knew deep in their hearts that humans could vanish again, as easily as they had returned, and if they chose to leave. The galaxy would tremble once more. The human fleet moved silently like a tide that had waited centuries to rise. It glimmered against the darkness of space, every ship alive with energy that seemed almost sentient. The council watched in awe and fear. For the first time in history, the galaxy understood the truth. Humanity was not just a species. It was a force of nature, a standard against which all life would forever be measured. The humans did not speak. They did not demand tribute or territory or allegiance. They simply moved among the stars, observing, judging, and reminding the galaxy that life could be stronger, wiser, and more extraordinary than any other species had ever imagined. High Chancellor Vorkal could barely breathe. His claws rested on the council table, trembling. "They are perfect," he whispered, "and we are not." The Thalrun elder Saria watched silently, her silver skin reflecting the soft glow of the human vessels. She knew what the council could not fully comprehend. Humans had not returned to dominate. They had returned to teach, to remind the galaxy that strength was more than weapons, more than numbers, more than fear. It was courage, resilience, and the will to rise beyond limits. Across countless worlds, fear mingled with reverence. Every species that had once fought against humans mocked them, or underestimated them, now understood their place. Humanity had left, leaving the galaxy arrogant and divided, and now they had returned to show what life could achieve when it dared to dream without fear. On one distant colony, a young Varth soldier looked up at the sky. His scales shimmered in the light of passing human ships. "They are more than we imagined," he whispered. Even as he spoke, he felt a chill of dread. Humanity's return was proof that the galaxy was not ready, not yet. If humans chose, they could erase the universe from existence or rebuild it entirely in their vision. And yet, despite the fear, there was hope. Humanity did not move with malice. They repaired worlds, restored broken systems, and even nurtured dying planets. Where they passed, stars seemed brighter, oceans glimmered, and life thrived. Their presence was a paradox, terrifying in power yet gentle in purpose. The Council realized the deepest truth of all. Fear and respect could not exist without understanding. And understanding humanity, they admitted silently, was impossible. They had evolved beyond the laws and limits of the galaxy. They were a reminder that life itself was bigger, stronger, and more beautiful than any species had imagined. Even in awe, another truth remained clear. Humanity had always acted by choice. They had vanished once, leaving billions behind without explanation. And if they chose to vanish again, nothing could stop them. Entire civilizations, fleets, empires, they would tremble at the absence of humans just as they had at their presence. High Chancellor Vorkal bowed his head. Across the chamber, representatives from the Avarine, Thalrun, and even the proud Varth did the same. They understood humanity was a teacher, a force, and a mystery. To confront them would be arrogance. To defy them would be folly. To ignore them would be death. And yet the humans did not demand submission. They did not declare themselves rulers. They simply existed, silently demonstrating the strength of will, the beauty of creation, and the inevitability of life that dares to rise beyond expectation. A historian from the Avarine species, eyes wet with tears, whispered into a recording. They are not gods, and yet they are greater than any of us. They have returned to remind us of our place, our potential, and our smallness in the universe, and that is both our fear and our blessing. On Earth, the machines paused in perfect harmony with the returning fleet. Gardens bloomed, waters shimmered, and the winds carried faint human songs across the empty cities. It was as if the planet itself rejoiced, finally reunited with its creators. The human fleet continued its silent passage, moving beyond systems, across stars, and into the unknown edges of the galaxy. Every eye that followed it felt awe and fear intertwined, knowing that the humans' return was not the end of the story. It was the beginning of a new era, one in which life itself would never again measure itself by its own limits. And somewhere deep in the void, the humans, silent, glowing, and magnificent, moved as they always had by choice, waiting for the moment when the galaxy would finally understand the strength, the courage, and the spirit that had made them vanish once, and return again. The Galactic Council bowed, not out of submission but in humility, and as they watched the fleet disappear into the distance, every being in the galaxy understood a single, undeniable truth. Humanity had returned to remind them that the universe was not theirs to command. It belonged to those who dared, who dreamed, and who could vanish or return without a word. And the stars themselves trembled with the memory and promise of humans.